Michael, always great to have you on. Appreciate the time. How you been?
Man, I've been well, How are you?
Well, I'm doing fantastic. So let me start you off with Brian Kelly, the dismissal. You kind of got a sense that it wasn't working, but we were wondering if he was going to get let go. They get blown out by A&M. They had the whole meeting, and then he's sent packing. When you look back at the Brian Kelly tenure, just as someone that is a proud former player at LSU, just what really annoys you or agitates you with the Brian Kelly era?
I really wasn't a true fan when they first hired him. I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't think his coaching style and his demeanor and things of that nature really fit the LSU culture. So when he was hired, I was kind of like skeptical already. Like, I don't know, coming from Notre Dame, coming down south to Baton Rouge, it's a different culture here than it is in Notre Dame or anywhere else. So you definitely have to bring it. You have to you don't really have to sell the school, but you have to sell yourself as to what you can get done, And I was, like I said, I was kind of skeptical when they first hired him. I was hoping it was going to work. I think I was just talking to one of my good buddies. I said the biggest thing that kept him on is really in his first year when they beat Bama in LSU. I think that was like, okay, everybody kind of took a deep breath and was like, okay, he managed to beat Bama, he might turn out pretty well, and then, he continues to lose those big games. And it's like, now people kind of like, I don't know. So, the Texas A&M loss, I just think was the cherry on top. You have all the former players coming up, talking to our ex head strength coach Tommy Moffitt, who is now at Texas A&M, and building that program up. And now they're 7-0. They're dominating teams in a fashion that we recall. So, I just think that was the cherry on top, and they were, ready to move on to somebody else.
And let's be real, a coach could come on in there in college and do whatever he wants, but with how long Moffitt was there and the success that he had winning 3 national championships, that's when I wonder if you shot Brian Kelly up with some true serum and said, would you wish you had that one back and just continue with Moffitt if he actually would say, yeah, I made a mistake on that one?
I mean, if that's the first thing you do is knowing that the common denominator of all these teams that had different coaches were winning still, and the common denominator was the strength coach. Like, why would you get rid of that? That's how I looked at it. And a lot of, my former teammates as well looked at it like, why would you get rid of like the one thing that was consistent through all these championship years, all these good teams? The one thing that stayed consistent through that was having Tommy Moffitt a part of that staff, and you get rid of him first. And that just didn't make sense to us.
Yeah, and now the seesaw ride, too, where early on in the tenure, the offense is humming. Jaden Daniels, right, wins a Heisman Trophy. You got Malik Neighbors. You got all these studs. And the LSU offense, right, they would step on the seesaw and they would go all the way up in the air because the defense was so bad. And now this year, the defense is playing better. And Garrett Nussmeier has just been such an enigma. I don't know what the heck has happened to him in the last year. So there was never a balance under Brian Kelly where, okay, if the offense is going to be superstars, just get the defense to be serviceable. And the defense starts to get going and the offense just plummets.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm being honest with you. LSU has always been, besides that one particular year, obviously with Jaden Daniels, then you had the Joe Burrow year. We were always a defensive, type of team. We were always defensive led. That's why we had a bunch of guys go in, high round and, on our defense is because we were a defensive led team. Not saying our offense, wasn't highly powered, but, they almost, seemed to lean on the defense heavily. Hey, the defense will stop. All we need is, 17 to 20 points, we'll get this thing won. So we didn't rely on the offense as much, especially during my years. But, I just felt like LSU has always been a defensive-led team, besides the other 2 years where you have your Heisman Trophy winners. And I think that's what made it so special because we were a team that, like I said, highly defense. And then you go out here and we put up the numbers that we have. You have to give those guys the reward, right?
following it now, and obviously you want your school to make the right next hire and get back to where they should be, a program that since 2000 had 3 different head coaches, win national championships, as Michael Brockers is here with us. The last 24 hours, in terms of what I do, just as a radio host, and I never think, right, when politicians get involved in the sports world, usually it doesn't end well. But what the governor's doing and Jeff Landry right now, man, this has turned into a spectacle and a circus to start off this coaching search.
Yeah, man. When you have a politician telling you that the AD can't hire anybody, it's kind of you like, what's going on here? Like what's really going on? I mean, I really don't have anything to say about that. I just want them to pick the right person for the job. I mean, at the end of the day, are we picking the right person that's going to change this culture of the team? Really bring the culture back to this team where we're strong, we're physical. You're gonna have a hard fought game when you face LSU, and that's pretty much what the players want to see. Especially a lot of the guys I talk to. We just want that culture back in the building, in the facility where it's hard work. Hard work, pays off, and that's what one of my teammates says is hard work pays off, and that's what we should be built on.
Yeah, I don't know if you have a relationship or not with the current AD. Clearly, the governor doesn't think he should be making the hire. I know they still have to hire a president as they're down to their 4 finalists. Do you think Scott Woodward should be making this next hire or not so much?
I mean, I can't really say anything to that, man. All I ask is that they pick the right guy. Like, make it make sense for the organization, for the school, for the players. Like, just make it make sense. I can't really speak to who should hire who, but it should definitely make sense for the school to have a solid coach that can get the job done at the end of the day.
So let me ask you this, because you have a fascinating perspective, and you're a former player there. You love that school. You want to see that school do well. Let's say if Scott hits you up tonight and says, Michael, like, give me a name or 2 that you think we should be interested in for the next head football coach. Who would a name or 2 be for the next LSU Tigers head coach?
It's funny you say that because I just recently watched a clip of one of my former teammates who's doing an awesome job right now with the Lions. Is a guy has been going around, Kelvin Sheppard. He's a I wouldn't say a candidate because I know how he is. He's focused on the task at hand. He's leading this Lions team. He wants to lead them to a championship. But if there ever was a perfect day, a perfect atmosphere where they can hire a guy, I would definitely put his name in there because I definitely feel like he's a leader of men. I mean, that's what you want. You want somebody that can lead men, that can get them pumped up to play the game. And also, he's an ex-player, so he understands. He understands, who's really ready to play and who's not. Who's mentally ready to play and who's not. So for me, I would definitely want somebody that played the game. I played with, biasly I played with, and I seen how he coached and things like that. So I would definitely, if I had to pick, I would definitely throw his name in that hat for sure.
Yeah, and I love his energy right now with the Lions because that was like a big concern heading into this year. All right, Ben Johnson no longer there with the Lions. Aaron Glenn no longer there with the Lions. And, I've been impressed with what the Lions been able to do on the defensive side of the ball this season so far.
Absolutely, absolutely. Especially, what was that, a couple of nights ago, they had 3 or 4 players go down and they still, stopped one of the top teams in the NFC in Tampa Bay. And, it was just like a next man up philosophy, and they all went out there and made plays. So when you got a guy like that can throw anybody in there and make them feel good, make them feel comfortable in what they're doing, he's a guy that's a leader. Like I said, leader of men, and he can get the most out of his players.
Let's say if he wants to stay in the NFL, doesn't want to deal with the college stuff. Lane Kiffin's a name that keeps on popping up. That just seems like a match made in heaven, right? Lane Kiffin going to LSU?
I mean, it does. It does. I mean, he can get the recruits. I mean, I don't really know a lot about Ole Miss, but, LSU, we get the recruits just off our brand in itself. So you wouldn't have to, sell the school a lot. And, he doesn't have to sell himself as well. He's Lane Kiffin. He can possibly get it done.
When you talk about the standard, right, I know what LSU football is about. We've seen them win at the highest level. But with where the program has been right now, there's some schools, right? Once you get away and you have a down stretch, then we start saying, oh, are they going to be back? Are they going to be back? Are they going to be back? And the pressure just intensifies. For whoever the new coach is, just what do you want to see them get LSU back to? What needs to be the culture to have success at LSU, in your opinion?
It's like I said before, it's a culture built off hard work. There's no easy road to this thing. The SEC is a gauntlet. I mean, we all know that it is a gauntlet of a division to play in. Every week you're going against a top 20 opponent or a top opponent in the collegiate space. So for me, it's all about building your team in order to last and have endurance to withstand some of these games, because it's not going to be they're all going to be close games. SEC games, it's not, with Texas A&M having 40 points and scoring 40 points on LSU, that's like an anomaly in the SEC. You don't really see a lot of high scoring games and things of that nature, man. They're low scoring games, defensive games where you see a lot of big hits, a lot of guys flying around to the ball, and it just whoever makes the less amount of mistakes, that's the team that usually wins the game.
Wrap it up with Michael Brockers. What was it like? I think you had a year, right, with Dan Campbell when you got to Detroit. What was it like playing for him?
Kind of reminded me of college, not in the sense of that, how hard we work, but just, the camaraderie with the team. I think, he's very personable as far as a coach that has played this game at a high level. He understands us as players, and he understands a lot of the BS that comes with it. He understands the off the field issues, the off the field distractions that usually come up when you're a player. And, he gives you, he grounds you, he grounds you as far as like, let's focus on one thing at a time. Let's do what we always do. And he talks about grit. And I think that's what his teams are all built off of, grit. None of these games are going to be easy. We have to be strong enough to survive. And I think ultimately that's the kind of culture that you want. And I would like at LSU, where it's like, it's a gritty team. It's a team that's going to fight you to the end. And you never know when we're going to come up on top.
And then, this, right? A guy like Aiden Hutchinson comes in, second overall pick. Obviously, his ties to Michigan, it's either going to go in a great way or a horrible way. Clearly, it's gone in a great way, and he just got rewarded with the contract. What stood out to you early on being around Aiden Hutchinson?
True professional. He comes in, he does everything the right way. He's been doing it the right way since he was a rookie. It surprised me a lot to see where he was mentally, as far as like how he took the seriousness he took the game, how he takes care of his body, things of that nature at such a young age. Because you get into the league, you kind of almost get starstruck. You're around all these different guys. Now you're getting money you've never seen before. But for me, seeing a guy that kind of had his head down, he was ready to work, he's ready to do everything he had to do to really show why this team drafted him so high. And he goes out there and shows it every day at practice, and he shows it in the game. So I was amazed at his mindset coming in as a rookie, and I think he's definitely well deserved for that contract.
Now they've been knocking on the door, right? The last 2 years, NFC Championship game. Then last year they lose in the divisional round, but they were the number one seed. You've played with Jared Goff, obviously, in both Detroit and then also LA. Do you feel like Goff is the guy that could give Detroit their first Super Bowl victory?
Man, if it's no mistake, you have to play mistake-free football, and that's on every level. These games, you say it's kind of cliche, but they're any given Sunday. If you go out there and you don't have your A game ready, you can be beat by anybody in this league. So it has to be a mistake-free football, really managing the game. He doesn't have to, go out there and, win a game with his arm and throw for 400, 500 yards. Man, let's manage this game, take what the defense gives you, and, lean on your defense. Your defense has been playing phenomenal this year. Take what the defense gives you. And at the end of the day, man, score some points, but you just don't think you have to do everything yourself. And I think that's the biggest thing for him is knowing that he has a surrounding cast around him and the players he has on his offense and also the defense he has. So for me, you play mistake-free football, you can make it a long way in this league.
Now, obviously, you've been around Sean McVay. He's one of the best coaches in football. When he first got into that organization, being the same age as the players, just how was that dynamic? What do you remember the first time meeting Sean McVay? You probably thought oh, who's this ball boy? Oh, he's the head coach, right?
Right. No, for sure. Definitely got a high respect for him, coming in the way he did, because, a lot of, guys come in and it's like their way or the highway. I love his philosophy of we, not me. I think that's something that just stuck with me just for life is, you have a team of people, a group of people, group of men, whoever, and everybody's accountable to each other. He's accountable to us. We're accountable to him. He holds that standard very high for himself and the team. And I think it translated throughout the building. It translated through, to the training staff, to the strength and conditioning staff, to the people in the kitchen. Like, everybody feels that energy. Everybody wants to be their best for the team, because if they feel like if they give their best at whatever they're doing, that they're helping this team win. So for me, I love his energy, and I love the way he made everybody accountable to one another.
And then before we let you run, last thing, Michael Brockers, just being a teammate of Aaron Donald, there's so much that you could probably take from him, but give me your favorite AD story.
Oh, man. I don't know. Like, what should I talk about? The training camp fights or just some things I witnessed,
Whatever you think. Hey, training camp fight sounds good to me, right?
Oh, my God. It's so much, man. The fact that I just witnessed greatness and I seen what he gave the sport, what he put into it. He always talks about hard work pays off, and that's who I was mentioning earlier in the show, where he definitely, like I said, gave it his all. He was in the off season. It was I got a story about him after our Super Bowl loss. We were usually guys take a month off or whatever from football, just kind of relax, kind of decompress. And I called him like 2 weeks after the game, and I'm like, man, what you got going? I just want to talk to just catch up with him. And he was like, man, I'm working out. I'm like, working out? We're working out for what? Like, what you got going? He's like, I'm working out for the season. And he's like, man, you got to be strong to withstand this long season and things like that. And that just inspired me. I was like, man, I got one of the, I'm playing with one of the best defensive linemen that ever played this game. And he's willing to go, take a week or two off, and he's back in the gym. Like, who am I to not give that same effort? So just by him working as hard as he did, he led by example. And that forced me to be like, you know what, let me get off the couch and let me start working too. If he's out there working, I need to be working out too. So for me, man, he just inspired me in those ways.
I probably would have been on vacation with a drink in hand, if I'm being honest, right?
Right.
He's Michael Brockers. Hey, Mike, it was great to get you back on. Thanks so much for giving us the perspective and the insight today.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me.